is Manoj Deorukhar. I am working as a CIO for a group of companies called Sterling and Wilson. And prior to joining Sterling and Wilson, I have 20 years of experience in IT domain, and that includes both consulting as well as playing a role of a CIO. So, in a way, I've seen both sides of the table. Sterling Wilson is a basically an EPC company dealing with the electrical power. So we have renewable EPC business, which is solar, and we are the largest in the world. So as I mentioned, we are an EPC and O&M company. EPC means engineering, procurement and construction. And after the projects are delivered, for many of them, we also are retained as an operating and maintenance partner, which is there. Now you can imagine that there's a multi-division business and that operates out of multiple project sites. And these project sites in India alone today we have about more than 350, and globally the number could kind of go much higher than that. Now this poses a very interesting challenge because much of your business is actually happening at a remote place and in a fairly decentralized manner. And to make sure that all of that is very tightly planned, monitored, controlled, and there's a visibility and insight which is available for what is happening to every project itself is a very interesting challenge. As opposed to many other industries where they are centered around few large locations of manufacturing or servicing, spare parts management. Here it is where the sites are very remote and not in our control also many times, which are there. Now our digitization strategy is all about enabling and empowering these remote sites to be part of our, the information highway, if I may put it like this. They all have to be connected, they have to be collaborating. And very importantly, we are able to get the insight about what's happening at the project, whether it is from the supply chain side, whether it is from a people management side, where it is from health and safety, quality, and of course the revenue and the cost part of it. So all of that, what we do in this number of sites has to reflect into our IT systems to represent a true picture. And I think that's the crux of managing IT function for an EPC organization. So we had seen Sterling Wilson grew very fast, very rapidly in last 5 years because renewable energy was one field which grew very fast globally. And we found that we have certain very fundamental strengths to become the market leader. And that was in terms of the excellent engineering and design capability, supply chain capability management globally, and of course the execution, speedy execution, and then the extended support for O&M engagement. Now managing this growth itself is a challenge. It's a problem which is there, but I think we have been able to do it without any mishaps or vulnerabilities that have been created in our IT systems. So overall it has been a very interesting journey. Our organization, and like many other organizations, we work in three spheres, three worlds. The most important world is of our clients. It means that our customers, their project sites where we work, and then they have their own ecosystem. They have many times architects, they have partners, they have project management companies, and so on and so forth, which is there. So that becomes a very important sphere in our entire business model. The second sphere is of our backward integration to our suppliers. So suppliers, service providers, they themselves create a world. And then at the center is our own internal organization, our internal organization that consists of people, offices, and so on and so forth, which is there. Now, I think the whole IT model is all about making these three worlds work together. And we digitally integrated and collaborating all the time, which is there. Okay. So to address this, what we do is that we use SAP in a big way. We have been using SAP for more than now 12 years. And we use various solutions of SAP. It is not only ERP or the ECC part of it. but also we have been using the HRMS, Success Factors, Concur, and we continue to explore the digital capability of SAP. The second very important pillar of technology is Microsoft. So apart from using it for normal Office 365 and those kind of things which are there, we've used all the digital capabilities of Microsoft very effectively. Uh, and Microsoft has been really working closely with us to enable us to make our workplaces more smarter, more collaborative, and making your processes faster and more visible, which are there. Apart from that, we use a large footprint of design, because EPC industries design is the beginning of everything which is there. So we work with all the major OEMs, and we have these design centers which are collaborating and kind of churning out designs. We have a CRM, we have the data analytics, and the business information systems. Uh, so there's a large stack of technology that we work on in terms of making sure that all these peers are working together and we have end-to-end visibilities. For the people collaboration, we use MS Teams, and that was really a kind of a blessing, especially during pandemic, because then suddenly we had to go virtual, we had to work from home, and I must say that Microsoft Teams has really been able to help us to achieve that collaboration, not only internally but also with the external partners which are there. Obviously, when our customers insist on something else, we definitely give them the that kind of respect that, and we get onto that. But by and large, I think we're using MS Teams each other. So even before the pandemic struck in, we had a very clear and very planned strategy in terms of adoption of various. It is not only just a digitization, but for example, a cloud migration. As we speak, by March, uh, more than 90% will be on cloud. Okay, we have been pushing mobility as a very aggressive capability for last 2 years. It means that each of our applications must have a mobile component, which is there. We have converted many manual processes into digital processes over last few years, which are there. And then obviously we also uh, invested a lot in terms of the collaboration technology like MS Teams. We use life size for a long time. All of that really helped because the moment the pandemic really struck in, and mind you, the lockdown started in the other countries much ahead of India. And those colleagues of us or partners were not able to actually come to the office to get into the VC, which is there. And we saw the adoption of MS Teams really zooming up more than 5x, 500%, which is there. Everything started, getting onto MS Teams very seamlessly. But also, it made sure that our data centers, which were on a cloud right now, really operated without any human intervention. So we didn't have any, disruptions. We didn't have any, but so that whether my person is able to reach a data center, able to kind of do it, etc. Which is so touch wood during this entire pandemic, our uh, application availability and accessibility has been nearly 100%. And we had certain minor issues with our on-premise data centers, which were sorted out because the SOP was very clear with the partners. And as and when we had a problem, we got the police, permission, and people came and kind of do it, etc. Third was mobility. So though we right from beginning of March, we anticipated there will be a work from home will come, and we supplied as many laptops to our employees, especially the key employees, uh, just before the lockdown started. But there are also many other employees who are not able to actually get something, at home, which is there. So mobility really helped because they were able to actually transact using mobile, their smartphone. So workplace technology, the collaboration, mobility, cloud, all of that really helped. And I would like to really mention one investment that we did, which was on IoT. And this initiative was launched about 2.5 years back, maybe 3 years back. We started conceptualizing. Now all our solar plants, which are working all over, all over the world uh, are fitted with this particular capability. So sitting anywhere, you can actually monitor the performance of the plant. You can detect if there's a problem much before the problem physically is detected. And we were also able to manage the workforce remotely through, again, kind of a cloud-based application where all these things could be communicated and the progress could be monitored with no deviation, no compliance issues for any of the clients which are there. And that's, I think, is a huge, achievement during pandemic. Because as you know, solar plants tend to be in a very, very remote sites. Nobody builds it in the middle of the city. And it becomes very, very difficult to access at times, which are there, especially in lockdowns. Uh, but we were able to actually do it. And this, I would say, futuristic step, which was taken 3 years back in terms of putting IoTs, the entire infrastructure that we built on AWS, in terms of monitoring capability, alerts, analytics, uh, all of that really helped during this particular time. Pillars many times are interpreted in a different way. And, if you really go to internet, you will find many, many articles on pillars of digitization, each of them really talking something relevant but different thing which is there. So let's look at what is the purpose of digitization. I think that is the most important thing. Why are we doing it? So the entire purpose of digitization for Sterling Wilson is, I think, the first thing is to improve the experience. And the experience, as I said, there are three words: the client experience, the supplier experience, and our own people, who are working on that. So a great deal of importance is placed in terms of improving that experience. The second very important thing is to improve the speed of our business processes. So if digitization is not going to really help us to do faster, quicker, and more than what we are doing today, then it's really not working out to the full extent which is there. So I think the speed of process is the other very important thing that we want to achieve. The third very important thing is the visibility and the insights. So a huge amount of data gets generated out of all the applications, and someone has to put this entire correlation of data to put a meaningful picture, not only for what happened yesterday, what is happening now, but also being able to predict what will happen in future together. So insights and analytics is going to be a very, very important thing which is there. And the last very, very, very important part is the ROI. So today, any digital initiative cannot be just nice to have. There has to be a business case and there has to be a real business returns which are associated with it. So these are, I think, the important factors which are considered. How we really deliver it is that number one is, I think, the cloud strategy is going to be a very important strategy for your digitization, because anything which is not on cloud is going to impose numerous constraints for you to exploit the full potential of that. So cloud strategy is a chapter by itself, but essentially it means that you move on cloud. The second very important thing is the process orientation. So any digitization cannot be in isolation of processes. And you have to really look at end-to-end processes. Otherwise, you will create digital bottlenecks. I mean, you will address some segment of your process, but then the next process will not be able to perform it. So having an end-to-end process alignment is going to be a very, very important part of it. Third, we talk about user enablement. So if the user is not able to empower, not able to, really function freely without the help of an IT intervention all the time, then your digitization is not likely to, reach this. So this is again going to be a very, very important factor that we are. And mobility is one such enablement that we would like to, put it as a part of our digitization. And I think the last was the most important thing in any digitization is that we must have a view for the IT security, because as we digitize, we expose ourselves more. We are actually integrating with a lot many partners than what we have earlier been doing it. We have applications that we interact with which are not entirely in our control. because we will be using some public services, etc., which is there. So IT security takes a center stage, and unless your IT security is very well thought about and planned, your digitization is likely to be uh, fraught with a lot of risk. And I think we have been hearing so many horror stories recently. So I think this, in nutshell, is how our digitization view is taken by Sterling and Wilson. Now, IoT application itself is like a gold mine, which needs an AI and ML capabilities to be built in there, because it actually churns out huge amount of data, terabytes of data, and it is humanly impossible for anybody to really keep watching. So as a phase which is beyond monitoring, uh, we are implementing the AI and ML capabilities. Again, we are quite engaged with AWS and of course for other applications Azure, in terms of adopting their core technologies which are around AI and ML, uh, which will help us in making many decisions automatically, in flagging certain behaviors which are abnormal, uh, not living into the human intelligence which is there. And very importantly, I think this is really helping us to create a capability database which will really help us to do a simulation of the kind where you would say that if I have to put up a particular solar plant in Kalahari Desert, uh, with this choice of technology, what is a guarantee I can give in terms of generation? Where this data today, of course, we are doing it using a lot of algorithms, etc., which is there, but I think it's fairly possible to really look at your historical data and come up with that kind of a forecasting. And this is not only for solar; we can do it for cogen, we can do it for substation behavior, we can do it for many of the AVP, this which is their O&M operations and maintenance will really be able to benefit using AI ML. So we have already taken steps in terms of implementing those capabilities. In fact, these capabilities are also on our roadmap for very simple processes like account payable processing, the vendor bill processing, where there's a lot of human intervention which is required for exceptional deviations. Uh, I think these are the capabilities which will help us to make that human intervention as minimum as possible. So digitization has been helped greatly by pandemic, no doubt about it. But this is not a flash in the pan. This is not like a short-term solution that one gets it for pandemic, because digitization is here to stay now. Having seen that power of technology, having seen that what looked like a fairy tale is actually can happen in your day-to-day life. uh, I think our business and the key business leaders are greatly excited to adopt the new technology, and I think they have a very keen interest in terms of seeing out what more we can do about it. So digitization is here to stay. Now, how digitization can help you through the business cycles? So today we are preoccupied with the slowdown, with a low tide of the business. But mind you, when the growth is coming, and this is expected, all economists, of course, I'm not an economist, but from the reports which are there, is that okay? You're expecting the economy to rebound. Scaling up is also going to be equally important. Otherwise, you'll be losing that particular boat, which is there. Digitization actually offers a panacea to most of these pains of downturn or upturn which is there. Take the case of it. Digitization can really cut your cost of operations to a large extent. Now, the mistakes that we do in terms of supply chain planning, in terms of logistics monitoring, in terms of leakages that can happen in your normal, revenue related processes, optimization of your manpower, the crucial data which is not available for making a right decision, all of them can be addressed by digitization. So our earlier equation which says more business means more manpower, means more capabilities. I think is being challenged by digitization. So digitization says that if you have the the basic capability which is already invested in, then you can scale up at no or a very marginal cost, and you can also scale down without having too many pains which are there. Plus, I think the biggest advantage that digitization can offer is in terms of your customer experience. Because if you are able to manage it, I think you have a market and you have a very loyal customer who can clearly see the differentiation and able to stay with you. And that would mean obviously a preferred supplier status, maybe a premium unit price, and a long-term relationship and a collaboration which is there. So uh, I think digitization is here to stay. We will discover more and more use cases as we go ahead. Uh, but the basic platforms onto which we'll build it, which I said, cloud, collaboration, IoT capabilities, the digital, the analytics and insights. These are all going to be staying, and I think all of us in the industry are investing in those capabilities. It's a slightly different challenge for Sterling Wilson because we are not in products business. So R&D, as in case of manufacturing or when you have product lifecycle management, takes a completely different turn. But for us, designs are very, very important. Very, very important because every project is very uniquely designed and it needs to be used and reused many times for the purpose of productivity and this which is it. Uh, so the way that we are actually looking at R&D is in terms of the methods innovations, in terms of new products innovation, which are obviously a source products we don't manufacture, except for DigiSets. And finally, having a much faster turnaround of designs with minimum amount of research. So we are actually putting up a very very integrated solution. Again, we are talking to the major OEMs to put it on a cloud, which is going to enable you know number one is the traceability. Many times the design traceability becomes very very important. Every design actually goes to multiple hands, and having that workflow very very clearly defined and very tightly defined and monitored becomes a very important thing which is there. Third is the reusability of our previous designs. So building that particular repository and having kind of those capabilities to retrieve that, and collaboration becomes very important so that you know cut down the time for any collaborative decisions and make sure those are very well documented for the future purposes. And finally, having a very clear workflow to boost the productivity. Uh, so we are actually investing in those kind of integrated solutions. Uh, but per se, a core R&D part of it, it may not be very relevant for our EPC industry. So let me take an example from our DG manufacturing factory that we have, which is one of the largest locations in Asia, located very close to Mumbai, where testing of all sorts is very important. So the testing of incoming, testing of in process, and finally the final equipment testing, which is there. Uh, so what we have actually done is that we have inbuilt kind of various checks and processes in our basic SAP, because most of the ordering and manufacturing is recorded in SAP, which is there. So we have come up with many checks and many collaboration points with our suppliers, which we call it as a manufacturing clearance, or it is a inspection calls, inspection, and all of that is actually available on the portal for people to collaborate and easily access and kind of do that. So that is a platform which has been really very very important in terms of making people collaborate together. Now, having said that, now we have to depend quite a lot on the incoming inspection certificates, test certificates which is supplied by this, uh, and in many times the physical testing becomes inevitable. However, we are actually trying to invest in a technology where there can be an automatic, uh, you know, uh, visual inspection using a digital capability, and also an ability to actually detect the defects rather than having a human intervention. So the surface defects, some cracks, things missing, etc. Which is so you have you know image of a perfect product, which is image which is stored, and then incoming product is compared with that, and it's any deviation, it is flagged as for the inspection. So those are the kind of capabilities that we are kind of investing into. And during this pandemic, we came up with a very very innovative solution for our customers, because many of our customers were not able to come physically to do a pre-dispatch inspection. So using the image, the cloud, and the collaboration tools, we have been actually able to conduct remote inspection with our clients, and I think they were quite excited and very happy to have this kind of innovation done. And we are using the we are will be able to actually use the same capability for any of our experts sitting anywhere in the world to be able to do our inspection. So that's the kind of capability that we are trying to build for the inspections.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.